Alright guys, it's been about 2 years since I've had a Tag Heuer Aquaracer caliber 5 on the channel. The first one I did was loaned in by a viewer, and it was the black version. This one here, I chose the blue version, and big thanks to Richard, the sales manager over at Saltzman's Watches in Newport, Rhode Island. I'll put a link down in the description, and we'll talk about that towards the tail end of the video too, that hopefully this is the first watch of many that we'll have in a relationship, so they can get some exposure, you guys can get some good deals, and we've got some more really cool, awesome watches on the channel that they are authorized dealer for. And this Tag Heuer is one of them. So I personally prefer the 41. Of course, there are some 43 millimeter colorways that Tag makes that are just awesome. And at some point, I'm sure I will bring those on the channel. But I couldn't help but jump at the chance to get my hands on the 41 in the blue because I am a huge fan of this model. Shockingly, I don't own one, or I have not owned one yet, but maybe this relationship will foster the potential ownership of this watch eventually. So let's get right into the watch. So this is, they advertise it I think as a 41. I measure it now. I'm trying to be fair like I am with all these watches. I try to exclude the crown guards, the crown, and any sort of bumps on the case. So I try to grab it here to here, and I measure 40.8. And then the lug to lug is only 47.10, so 47.10 mil. Excellent case size, super thin at only 12 mil, 12 millimeter thick or thin, whatever you want to call it. 20 millimeter lug width, bracelet tapers down to 18. The clasp is probably going to be closer to 20 as well. We'll talk about the bracelet and the clasp in a moment. Pretty much really good fine brushing on this. Polished sides, polished crown, and polished reliefs on the bezel here. So, and then of course on the back it's polished as well. So really good finishing on this. Ceramic bezel insert, and you can see it is, you know, shaped to fit the bezel obviously, but the bezel is unique to the Tag Heuer Aquaracer, which is nice because it is definitely its own thing. It's definitely unique in its overall case design and execution. So this is obviously the caliber 5. What does that really mean? So Tag Heuer does a couple of things to it, the rotor and maybe some other things, but they definitely buy a high grade. I believe they were using the ETA movements before, like the 2824, but in a high grade. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they've switched over to the SW200s high grade. So excellent performing. I threw it on the time grapher. It is running at like near COSC. I know it's not COSC, but it is close. That in its performance, so I suspect they're buying the top grade movements of those. So the part number on this guy is, here's the hang tag. You can see the retail price is $2,550. But like I said, hit up Richard or any of the fine people over at Saltzman's and tell them I sent you. Tell them Random Rob sent you over, and hopefully they can get you a killer deal. So the part number is WAY211C, decimal point BA0928. Again, I'll put all the information in the description with a direct link to the Tag Heuer website. So if I happen to miss anything, then maybe you can find that information there. Sapphire crystal flat AR coating. Excellent execution on the date magnifier there. You can see it's like probably 2.5 times or something. Let me move that hand back out of the way because, you know, it's a coincidence that I'm actually doing this video on the 11th, but anytime you are on either the 1st of the month or the 11th of the month, you're going to get a special treat. They do the ones a little bit different than they do if you're in like the teens, or, you know, with the one at the end. So you can see their little hook at the top of the one pointing down. I think it's just a little bit of flair to a little nicer feature. And sometimes, you know, it takes a while of ownership of a watch to pick up on these little subtle things. So excuse any little dust particles I have going on here, but you can see the dial there is deeply engraved, you know, pinstriping almost going across. Very clean and classic, powerful looking, excellent radium coated applied indices and handset, really broad Nice handset, very legible, and they kind of have the tag shield out on the end of them, kind of ties the whole watch in, and it gives it an opportunity where they can separate the lume, because this does have dual lume. Hopefully I will be able to show you that in the video at the end. I'll do a lume shot. Hopefully you'll be able to pick that up. But you can see this thing is just beautiful. Excellent grade of ceramic there. I don't know what it's filled in with, but it looks like it's very nice looking fill, whatever it is. Kind of like platinum looking. I don't think that's what it is, but and then a nice signed crown, of course, with the shield there as well. So excellent execution on this watch. Tag really knows what they're doing. Very nice case back there with some information in the diver's helmet there. Let me zoom back out. I'm going to show you something on the clasp. Now it's just a double pusher clasp, very simple, 3 micro adjust. But I did notice, you know, a lot of these clasps, they'll have just a single bar, and the pin will be like here, and then when you push this, it actually releases the internal mechanism. This one's kind of like the reverse of that. So I think it's a little more stout, a little more mechanical in its nature as far as grippiness. So you're going to have the two prongs there, and then they actually snap in and catch, and it gives you a nice smooth, it gives you a really thin profile as well. So kind of cohesive with the thinness of the watch as well. So let me pop this guy on wrist for you real quick. I am wearing a Coda watch right now, which I'll do a video on soon, hopefully. But let me pop this guy on wrist. Now, I didn't size this because it's a brand new watch and it's not mine, it's Saltzman's. But you can see on my 7 1/4, I mean, you're going to be able to wear this thing all the way down to, like, you know, 6.5 inch wrist easily, maybe even a 6 inch wrist because of that shorter lug to lug. But just killer. I mean, it just, I don't know that there's too many watches out there that are, I don't want to say small. It's definitely not small, but it's definitely on the smaller wearable size, but still has like really good wrist presence, if that makes sense. I think this watch would definitely attract anybody that's keen to noticing what people are wearing. You're going to pick up this watch. There's a few watches that do that, and I believe this is one of them. So also the bracelet, all brushed, polished on the side links there. Pretty sure you have pin and collar on these, yeah. So I think pin and collar, which I know some people might gripe on, but really that is probably the most secure method of doing your bracelet. Might be a little bit of a bugger to size, but once you get it sorted out, you are not going to have any issues with it. All individual pieces on this, so you can see the links, are all individual pieces, so you can get extreme comfort on this. It's going to drape on the wrist, if you will, right? And then, of course, that center link on the solid end link is going to fold over really nice, so it also aids in if you have a smaller wrist or even really a larger wrist. It's going to flow really nice across the wrist. So another really killer thing I noticed I want to point out on this is the crown system. Nice pop, but when you pull this thing out, if you look in there, you can see it's, you know, you got the tube coming all the way out. But I am not kidding you guys. This is the most stout crown I've ever had on the channel. When you go to try to move this, like if I like to see if there's any play in them, it moves the whole watch. Like I think you could hook a toe strap to this thing and pull something. Don't do it, obviously, but it is. I'm just trying to get my point across. This thing is robust, but of course you're going to want to keep that, you know, screwed in for the most water resistance feature. So let me see if I can get you, bezel action, 120 click, very smooth, like buttery smooth, very consistent and smooth, good sounding bezel, excellent lineup, no issues there at all. I love this watch. Let me do a lume shot. I want to try to get the most bang for the buck here, so I'm going to go ahead and snap it with a UV light, because I'm hoping you guys will be able to pick up on the dual lume. Yeah, I can see it to the naked eye, certainly. So hopefully, I'm sure you guys are going to be able to see it if we can get a little bit of focus. You can see definitely you got the cool blue on the main body of the indices, and then you have on the hour and minute hand, and then on the second hand you have the green, and then you have the green on the outer part of the indices, 12, 3, 6, 9, and then on the outer part of the hour and minute hand, if that all makes sense. To the naked eye, it is very, very visually appealing. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. Big thanks to Saltzman's and Richard over there. I'll put a link in the description. Email them, call them, tell them I sent you. Get yourself a good deal on whatever they carry in the AD lineup. Thank you.